Hello and welcome to the State of Events, where event professionals connect. Are you a new chef in the event industry? Maybe you're an up-and-coming florist or event designer. In this fun summer series, titled Event Professional versus Event Professional, newcomers interview a seasoned OG, discussing how they got their start, what they're up to now, and what their future hopes are for the event industry. This is Designer on Designer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TISO Community Podcast. I am here with the wonderful Brooke. She is a florist and an amazing designer. And Brooke, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Brooke Wetzel. I am a floral designer and the founder and lead designer at the Plum Dahlia floral studio in Los Angeles. I have been working in the industry professionally since 2009. Yeah, so daily deliveries, wedding work, event work, just everything flower.
All the flower things.
Yes, all the flower things.
Well, I'm Cara. I am an event planner and event designer. So I work with all of the florists. So I'm so happy to learn all the things from Brooke today. I've been in the industry very new, just 2-3 years. I started doing it full time right before COVID. How did you get into the industry, Brooke?
I was a visual artist very young. I started taking pictures as a photographer when I was 11 and have a natural skill for composition and sort of the placement of things. And so had been doing that kind of work and selling work, even all through high school. And so as a hobby, when I was about 15, I started working with flowers just kind of like on a whim. And my mom had a really big garden. And so I just kind of played with stuff. And this was like the height of Martha Stewart on Lifetime TV.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Yes. So watched all her little flower arranging tips. And I'm like, I can do that. And so it was a natural progression. And so fast forward all the way to 2009, I, at the time was working for a city and as a staff assistant for city council and really, really enjoyed my job. I love working with people and I loved helping people. And my son was born and it just kind of was one of those things. I mean, it's the world's oldest story at this point of it would have cost me more to go back than to stop working altogether. So that's what I did. Yeah. So I stayed home. And after about 9 months, my husband was a new attorney, things were tight. I'm like, I got to do something. I've got to do something. And so I remembered that I can do flowers. And so I did my first wedding. I booked I sort of put some samples together and took some photos, emailed some key people in my life, both that I knew that either knew people who were getting married or just kind of had a lot of social connections and let them know I'm launching this thing. I do flowers now. And that would have been November of 2009 and immediately booked my first wedding for the following February. And that's it. And so that would have been 2010. And I was just been off to the races. Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps because just hearing from you how you started, you even market yourself,
Yeah.
Took some photos and send it to your close friends. I'm getting goosebumps because that's the humble beginnings of starting your own business.
I mean, you got to think too, back in 2009, we didn't have, Wix or easy websites like we have now. I remember my first website was very rudimentary, built on an Apple platform. It was a blog and I couldn't sell anything. I just had pictures basically.
Right.
And I don't even think I was on Facebook yet. It's wild.
Hearing that from you, I bet you're using what you learned from your last job to what you're doing right now, because you said you love working with people. That's where your customer service talent comes from. Because with me as well, I've worked at a spa for, it's going to be 6 years now. And with me, when I went into event planning, it's mostly a hobby as well, just like you. People I started as like, oh, I love decorating. I came from a church full of creative people. And then eventually, like, someone asked me, why can't you do this professionally? And I said, well, for me growing up, I didn't really understand that your hobby can also be what you do for a living.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I started event planning, I learned how much of grit that it comes with the industry. So I started event planning just for like baby showers at first, like the small little things, baby showers, private dinners, and then eventually I came into the wedding planning world. And at first I was like, do I need to let go of the creative part of what I want to do because there's more money on the planning side? So when I met people just like you, like, no, I don't have to let go of the creative side. I can also be an event designer and also do planning as well. With that being said, what is like the biggest challenges as a florist? Like when you started and now as like you've been doing this for years?
I think my biggest challenge is managing customer expectations. That's always going to be something that with an industry as volatile as the floral industry, where so much is out of our control. Taking it all the way back to the pandemic stuff, I turned down a lot of work. I was not comfortable going back until we got the okay from the city and from the state, which would have been Mother's Day. So that was May. So I closed down March 16th and I didn't reopen until May 12th.
Wow.
And I had friends who never shut down. They found ways to get flowers, and I didn't feel okay with that. But I understand the need to want your customers to stay your customers, because a lot of people were like, well, if I don't fill the order, somebody else is going to fill the order and then they may never come back to me.
Right.
And, and that happens also with pricing. It can be a challenge, especially for young designers or people who are newer to these kinds of industries, because it's like, you want to get the client, right? You want to capture that sale. You want that person. And I'm always asking myself, at what cost? Yes, there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to charge less and maybe give them more, but where do I value myself?
Right.
So it always goes back to just managing people and our customers and our clients, because this is a partnership. This industry, these kinds of industries where we're celebrating life events and life cycles, this is a relationship and a partnership. I'm going to do this for you. You pay me money. You give me information. I'm going to do my best based on the information that I get out of you. And that's another thing. That's another customer service thing.
You're right.
Yeah. And it happens a lot, I imagine, in the wedding industry too, when I have people who will like rattle off a lot of flowers. I want dahlias, I want peonies, I want garden roses, I want, the tip top of value.
Yeah.
All the things. And I go, okay, got it. And then I get their budget and it's not that budget.
Exactly.
And then I go, okay, so I hear what you're asking for, but why don't you tell me, like, what is the vibe that you want? Yeah. And then we work our way backwards, and that comes from me managing their expectations, because it's like, am I going to eat all those flowers and all the money on that because I want to give them 100% of what they asked for? Or do they even not know what they're asking for?
Yeah. You have those clients who are like, I don't know where to start. And then you have those clients who are like, I have a list of things, but budget doesn't match with it.
Right. And it's like, well, we can get that vibe. I think I hear what you're saying, so it's a lot of sussing out these small details of what people are actually talking about, and what they're saying and what they mean are not always the same thing. And I understand now that that's a very unique skill that even a lot of people in our industry don't have, or really don't care to have. Yeah. And that's a really interesting dynamic that starts to happen, is especially when you're getting into wedding planning, and it's so personal and it's so specific.
Right.
And it gets down to those tiny little thoughtful details and who's going to really make that happen and who's just there for the check.
Oh
it's
my
tricky.
God. I'm learning so much already. We're just dropping all of this wisdom.
Which is funny because I don't do weddings anymore. So that's the really funny part.
Right. But you're right. It's a partnership because like as a wedding planner too, there's all of this expectations given to us and it's handed to us. And you as a wedding planner, you want it to be the best day ever for them. But you can't be afraid on valuing yourself, trying to value yourself, what your value is, like what you said. And that's what I'm learning right now. Like I can't just let go of my value. And at the same time, still like not saying no, but also saying no. And you've already done all the best things that you can before saying no. For me, is like what I'm learning right now. It's like, I was like, yes, there are things that are impossible to do, but did I try my best to make it work or not?
It's interesting because I will have clients who have a special set of demands. You know, there's demands and there's requests, and I will get people who want to work with me and will let me go and trust me and say like, oh, I know what you do. And I love everything that you do. Here's my money. Here's the address. Bye-bye. You know, and basically make it happen.
Right.
Who understand that my number one goal is to make the gifter look great.
Yeah.
That's I understand that, you know, so this is a representation. I am holding in my hands, you know, every flower arrangement. I have the intention of encapsulating this person's feelings for the person who's receiving it. So I give it my 100%. So that's the goal. And my clients who understand that, they seek me out for that. And then there's other clients who just want the order done. You know, they want it done for this amount of money. And that's okay too. You know, and it's about balancing where I place my energy and my time.
That's so
because it's like, there's always just going to be those like, send me $50 in Venmo, whatever, I'll get it done, you know, and that's fine. You know, that pays the bills. And then there's the other people that are like, I'm feeling Caribbean, but like at the nighttime. And then our wedding bouquet was this and that. And then I get all these tiny little details and I get way into it. And maybe I only made like half on that one, but you know, but I learned something, you know, and so that's also a really interesting thing to balance. How do you balance those clients where maybe you put a lot of effort in and maybe don't get paid for that effort necessarily, but do you chalk it up sometimes and go, well, I learned a lot of new things. I was at a new venue or I did something different this time. And that has its own set of values.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. It's crazy because I'm sure you're going through it right now as well. After the pandemic, the pricing of everything is not what it used to be. And and like for me as well, talking to vendors, I have to also learn to also value the vendors that I work with because I believe in them and I know how much hard work it goes into flowers and standing with them, what's right and what's fair. Have you ever turned down a client before because they don't understand your value or they don't understand like, why can't you just make it happen? It's easy, it's flowers. Because I haven't fired a client yet, but I want to learn how you did it.
I fired a client. I have a couple of stories. So there's two things there. The price of everything has gone up. I'm really, really, really grateful that I've been able to keep my prices relatively stable. What I've noticed is that things that are in peak season, the prices aren't going down. So everything is sort of staying stable. Like where something was costing $15 6 months ago, it should be $8 now. It stayed at maybe 10 or 12. So things just aren't necessarily going up. They're just not dipping the way that they normally would. And on my end, the explanation that I have for my customers is the truth, which is we lost farms.
Yeah.
We lost farms in COVID. There were two things. The two biggest Snapdragon and like basic Dahlia local rose growers that were in Central California, we lost them to cannabis.
Yeah.
That's it. They sold the land, you know? And so that is before anybody else can catch up to it. So we have an issue with supply.
Yeah.
So I'm asking my customers and my clients to be flexible with style. You know, give me the same amount of money. I'll give you the same size. The feel is going to be the same, but it might look a little different. And so far it's been great. I had a very, very long-term client who had a set budget, and that's fine. This is what they always wanted to spend every time they ordered flowers. And I have lots of clients like that, usually corporate clients, where it's like, this is my budget for my birthday gifts for all of my people or whatever. And I go, cool. And this person, you know, I went through a lot of seasons of life with them, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, then engagement, then they got married, then they had a baby, and they were always sending anniversary and birthday gifts. And it was cool, except that I had hit a wall with not being able to meet their expectations on style and variety at their budget, their set budget that didn't go up for 8 years. And, you know, definitely I had to check myself and be like, well, you have a fancy apartment now, and I know what you drive, you know, spending other people's money basically. And instead of, you know, projecting essentially, instead of turning around and going, wait, no, again, this is a relationship. I don't like how I'm being treated. And first I massaged it for a while. It was a slow, long process, which would be different than in a wedding or an event situation, because it's a shorter window of time.
Yes, it's a one-time thing. Yeah, it's not a long relationship.
No, and for me, it was about a year of being unavailable. This person was very last minute on stuff. So it would just so happen, it wasn't a lie, I was unavailable by the time they, you know, would hit me up for flowers. So I'd be like, okay, well, I actually can't get that done for you. And then eventually I just had to say, you know, I don't think I'm the right designer for you. And leading with kindness first. And in truth, it was. We have outgrown each other. I have outgrown you. I am not the right designer for you anymore. I can't do what you need and what you're requesting at the budget that you have. And I want to respect your budget and your choices. And I am more than happy to give you some recommendations.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. And he did not take it well. Oh, he was very mad and felt very hurt, which was weird, because I was like, I understand, but also like, you know, that's the other thing, is it's very personal, right? So then, you know, personal, then they throw but we're like family. Sure, except that we're not family. This is a transactional relationship. Like, let's get this real. I'm not really even your friend. I don't know your last name. We don't do life together. Yeah. No. And so that was something about really deciding my emotional labor, because I was like hemming and hawing on this, and this person had my cell phone. So they're like texting me at all hours, and I'm like, oh no, sir.
The boundaries is gone.
Boundaries. I started this business at the height of the recession, you know, in 2008. So when I came in, it was definitely like word got around that I did weddings for cheap, which at the time I did, because it was the only thing I did. So, you know, 4 $300 weddings in a month, thinking about it now just makes me want to throw up. But, you know, doing like, you know, my husband's watching the baby and my mom's helping me out, and I could work this out, you know. It basically wasn't paying myself for time. I've still to this day, praise God, never lost money, like completely lost money on a job, never. The business is not in any debt. And I mean, I run very, very lean. I don't have a lot of the things that other people might have. Like, I don't have like a truck with my, you know, I don't have a van. I don't have a shop. but I run lean, and I like to, you run fast, you run lean. And I like that. But I got a reputation for being cheap. And so a lot of times when you're doing community with people, churches, big families, people will take advantage of you and say, oh, but you did so-and-so's wedding. They told me that you did their wedding 5 years ago for $350. And I go,
Goodness.
I sure did 5 years ago. And it's hard sometimes to not name drop for me, to be like, do you know who I do work for now? Like,
they don't understand that your value is you grew up, basically. You've attained skills that you don't have before. That it's not the same price as before.
No. And I've seen that happen with event planners where, you're getting your feet wet and you're giving a lot of time, maybe a ton of you when you started out, you're answering emails at 11 o'clock at night and you were answering every single text every single time. And then, their cousin's getting married 2 years later, and they're like, well, you're not as responsive as you were before. And you're like, yeah, because I'm not like that thirsty anymore. And I have boundaries, and I learned the hard way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at the same time too, I don't know. I'm just saying yes to everything. Basically.
Well, you're starting out, and that's okay. And then we've all been there, and 2 or 3 years sounds like a long time. And it's kind of not, because really that's only 2 wedding seasons. Because really that's what we run in, right? We run in seasons. We don't really run in years. So saying yes to everything in the beginning makes absolute sense, because you're gaining experience, you're getting out there in front of people, and it makes sense. And then you get a lot of experience with different kinds of, sizes of events. I'm sure you've done a 75-person wedding, a 40-person wedding, and 350 people. And you just kind of have your hands in all of it. And there's skill and there's value in that. Then once you've done all of that, you can sit yourself back and go, but what do I actually enjoy doing?
Yes.
And then you can narrow your scope. So then when people email me for weddings, I go, thank you so much for thinking of me. I actually don't do weddings, but I have a friend. If you like my style, you might really like her style. And there was a designer that I liked on Instagram, did not know her at all. Her style was very similar to mine. And I was sending all of my clients to her. People who would cold email me, I'd be like, go to her. I don't do that, but you might like her stuff. And then she messaged me and was like, I don't know you, and you've sent me $20,000 worth of wedding work. And I go, congratulations. I didn't want to do it anyway.
Exactly.
And the truth is I didn't because it doesn't, yes, on paper, it's $20,000 worth of work, but that's a lot of time. And I don't enjoy it. I rip my hair out. I don't like it.
It's crazy that you're saying that, because I do have a friend that just started florals, and she said that early on her experience right now, she told me, she's like, I don't think I want to do weddings anymore. And from like hearing from you, I was like, oh, this is like a normal thing that florists could do. Like, they can say no to weddings.
I didn't know I could say no to weddings. I really didn't. I thought that that's just part of the gig. And first few I said no to, I was just like, free. Yeah. And then talking to other people, and because here's what it boils down to. I'm always trying to flip the perspective and make it, a positive angle, in that I don't enjoy doing it, which would not be great for the client.
Yeah.
It would better serve the client that they go with a designer and a florist who really enjoys the details of that kind of day and loves doing that kind of work, because it's not me.
Yeah.
Just like there are wedding designers who hate doing daily work. They don't like that. I love daily work. I'll do, 15, 20 orders a day. I love everything that's constantly changing. I like managing my website. I like the customer service. I like talking to people.
Right.
I love that. I'll go to the market every day. I do go to the market every day. And then I have friends who hate it, who never want to go downtown. They just want to order everything and have it come to them. And then they like, you know, make magic that way. That's not me. Yeah. I have to be in it all the time. There's a shoe for everybody, right?
With that being said, what is the craziest design request you've ever received? Oh my gosh, I have like a couple on my 3 years of experience.
The craziest design request. So there were two. One was really cool. So when Lady Gaga's Chromatica album came out, I had a request for multiple flower arrangements to go out to her team that encapsulated the spirit and the energy of the album and the message of the album. And the message of the album is that there are multiple planets in this universe that is Chromatica, because chroma is like multiple colors, and each one has a different representation. There's a pink planet and a blue planet, a green planet, a purple planet, and so forth. And they all have these people that live on them, and there's all this different energy and different collection of vibes, essentially. And they all come together in this universe of Chromatica. And so when the album came out, like Gaga's planet is hot pink, and then there's a green one and orange and so forth. So when you look at the album or the merch and stuff for the album, it's like multiple symbols that are like every single album, every single planet. So this person needed multiple arrangements to go out to her team that included the colors of every one of these planets, right? But not rainbow necessarily, just colors, Chromatica. So it was, and in different price points. They weren't all the same, and they were going to different people. So every vase had to be a little bit different because it was capturing the spirit of a different thing. Gaga's had to look a certain way. And then, you know, the people who on her visual team and who do her personal care, like all these different things, the stylists and everything had to get this vibe. I had to capture, and then on top of that, I had to capture the vibe that it's this like futuristic, right? Nowhere but everywhere, but universal kind of theme. That's on my Instagram. Those were incredible. Those are so beautiful. I love doing that one. Did they give you like freedom on how to like? Oh, completely. Wow, totally. Awesome. These are the colors. These are the symbols. Incorporate the symbols into the arrangement. So then I had to print out the symbol of Chromatica and then figure out a way to like put it onto cardstock and somehow get it into the arrangement. So it was a mirror of like art and a gift, but also marketing. Wow. And how do we marry these things to also still be beautiful? And it was gorgeous. I love that piece. And then another one I did, which was really interesting, was there was a TNT show that came out, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, that was about the murder of the Black Dahlia. And the production company called me and they were like, can you get Black Dahlias? And I get this call 3 times a month, and it's all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, they're not a thing. So let's start there. I was like, I don't just grow Black Dahlias in my shop, guys. Yeah, no, I cannot get Black Dahlias, sir. But I was like, but then my follow-up question is, it's no but, right? It's always no and keep the conversation going. And that comes from my background in retail and sales. Exactly. Open-ended questions always. It's never how are you, it's what can I do for you today? Yeah. So I was like, no, they're not real, but I can get these chocolate dahlias that are super duper red, that they're so red that they're like brown, they kind of look black, but what exactly are you looking for? Like, what is this for? And if you said like, oh, I have a girlfriend who really loves, you know, dark stuff and like she's kind of gothy, and I'm like, oh, well, let's talk about other stuff. I get it. No, they actually wanted Black Dahlias for the premiere event, for like a party that they were doing. And I was like, all right, well, let's talk about this. So what I ended up getting were dark plum dahlias. That's an actual color. It's like a purpley red.
Right.
And I tested spraying them black or spraying them darker red, and which ones actually looked black.
Black, yeah.
So that's what we did. So I think I did 450 stems. I had to paint them all. Yeah, painted all these flowers. And then some of them, they wanted them available as like hair clips for people. When they came in, they could put it in their hair. And then some were on magnets for guys to wear as like a boutonniere. So I did a bunch of those. Yeah. And then we attached them onto the wall in this one space.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, there was like a chaise lounge there, and people were like laying on it and taking pictures and stuff. And that was pretty cool.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I have this client. She's very boho. You know, like when boho weddings started, of course, you get all of the boho requests for flowers. And boho weddings are usually, don't want it to look too hard. Like we like tried too hard. We want it to like look natural, but also I want to make it clean, and everything should be in their proper place. So at this point, it was a 250 people wedding, right?
Whoa.
Exactly. So this was pre-COVID. So on her table setting, for one person, she gets, I think she gets her table setting, basically like a charger, her plate. She has like 3 goblets of water, and then she has her menu and her place card. And then every single setting needs like a little leaf in there. And then of course she also needs her the things that they give away for weddings.
Favor.
Wedding favors, yes. She also wants that there. And basically it's a very labor intensive tablescape. And at that point, she's expecting me to do all of them. You know, the expectation is like, oh my gosh, can you do this? And then she keeps adding, like, the more near we are to the wedding, the more ideas she gets, because she's a very creative bride. And then when I told her, like, okay, so for this amount of setting, I need more people.
Yeah.
And that's when she said, well, I can't afford that. So I told her, so this is what's going to happen. It's either we cut it down to how many things you want on the table and make sure we can still get the vibe that we were going for, boho and clean, and you have all of the details that you want in there. Or pay for the people that also, because you can't just tell your aunt, your cousin to do all of these things for you, because you need a specific person that knows details how to do it. So I think it's like we said, the expectation versus what they want. And it was hard for me to have that honest conversation when I was just first starting, because I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to hate me. I won't get a positive review because it's just one of my first weddings. So, but now we're learning. If you were not in floral design, if you don't have your business, what would you be doing? I've thought about this a couple of times.
I would be doing legislative research. So I am very passionate about politics and legislation and working with cities on a local level and how laws are made and passed and changed. And I really, really enjoy research in general. Yeah. So like my, I always had a little girl's dream of working at the Rand Corporation, which is like, it's a think tank, and they'd like throw problems at like sociologists and stuff and be like, childhood obesity, find a correlation between childhood obesity and proximity to power plants, go. And they're like, okay, let's go find some data. So I really like research and data and how it merges with legislation and bettering people's lives, and like how we can like find those things. Like right before I started the business, I I got into school. I got into college at Loyola for, I was going to major in urban studies because I wanted to go into legislative research and working with a think tank.
Wow.
And I've made that kind of merge. So something that I'm specifically really passionate about are Californian American grown flowers and maintaining American farms. Yeah. Also, the treatment of farm workers here in the United States. Mm-hmm. I am the first generation, second-ish, 1.5 kind of, first generation of my family to not work in the fields. So I'm Chicana, I'm Mexican American, and I was born in Fresno. Yeah. And my family worked the fields. My grandparents, my aunts and uncles, my mom did occasionally just to like make ends meet. My dad did too. Right. So I'm very close to where our food comes from because that's also where our flowers come from. Central Valley, the coast, Central Coast. So I work closely and am really involved with letting our elected officials know that when at all possible, especially public facing, that they should be using American grown or flowers that are grown in their state. And the first lady, whoever is in office, once a year does a big luncheon and they only use American grown flowers. And, you know, the current first family uses American grown flowers in the White House. And it's something that's really important to me. So legislation, that's what I'd be. I'd be involved in government work.
So cool. And I'm like thinking about it too, because like your everyday work, it takes a certain type of person to make 1 million bouquets or like setups. Like it takes a certain person, and you love research and data research. It makes sense.
Yeah, I love data. I like things that change a lot. And that was the hardest thing for me in the pandemic. I don't know how it was for you. I realized the world that I had created for myself, the life that I had created for myself. Because of course we have like a life that is sort of done to us. You know, I have children, I have a husband. They are individual people that, you know, do things to me. And then there is the life that I have for myself that I choose. And the job that I made for myself was a job that changes every single day. I am constantly being thrown challenges every day. I turn right. Oh, the street's closed. Oh, crap. That's going to add another 20 minutes. I've got to call somebody, see if they'll pick up the kids from school. Then I got to text my son. Hey, so-and-so's picking you up from school. Okay, I'll be home at 4:30. Please let your sister in. Don't use the phone. Like this happens.
Challenges.
All the time. All the time. Oh, somebody canceled. They want it tomorrow. Crap. These won't last till tomorrow. Now I've got to wait one more thing. I guess got to go back downtown. Can you pick up the kids from school? Because I got to go back downtown. Yeah. This is constant. But it's good for me. And so when the world stopped, like I fell apart, and I realized it's because I personally need that constant stimulation of something always happening and moving. Yeah. And that was really difficult for me.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that I learned about myself is I need to have patience to wait for answers. Because I, as a wedding planner, things are always moving and changing as well. But the thing that I didn't really thought about is I can't do anything if I don't get a yes from my couple. Like I have.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
Have all of these things that has deadlines. I have all of these vendors that I value and have a relationship with. And these are vendors that I want to work not just in this specific wedding. I want them to be my partner, but they don't understand that. Like I need to wait for them. So I think that's the only, trickiest part that I learned as a wedding planner. Like I need to actually plan way, way ahead of time and learn how my couples makes decisions. Because if I get that down on the first month, I was like, this couple waits 2 weeks to make decisions, even though how many times I follow up, it's just who they are. Then I actually have to be 10 times ahead of time on asking questions, which is
just anticipate how, you're managing their personality. I get that totally.
Exactly. what is the most important piece of advice you have ever received that you want to share to everyone and to me as a new person in the industry?
The best advice that I would tell anybody in this kind of industry, this events luxury industry in general, is, it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. Your success is my success. And, or like the other saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's something that I consistently struggle with, is a comparison and, oh, they got that job or they're doing this, and keeping my eyes on what I'm doing.
Wow.
And knowing that my success is not contingent on somebody else's failure.
That's so
to
good.
hold all this stuff with an open hand, because just as quickly as it came is just as quickly as it can leave. And it all really does work out. It really does all work out in the end. And there are times where I can't get that one client, that one thing they want, and so they end up going elsewhere. But if I make that transition easy for them and go, you know what, it's 6:00 at night, I can't get to Malibu for you today, but let me find you somebody who will. They'll come back to me, or at least they'll tell their friends, and they'll go, I really appreciate you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is leading always with kindness.
Oh my God.
And just doing the right thing. Sometimes the right thing is the hard thing.
Yeah.
The right thing is sometimes not taking the job, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard because that money hurts.
Exactly.
That money hurts, but it's
Say no.
the right, you got to do right by other people, because it truly does. I don't believe in karma in the sense that it was like, everything is even all the time, but I do believe that, if you're cool stuff happens. It's all right.
Exactly.
And just not getting caught up in comparison, which is so hard, especially for me in this industry. I feel my age, man. I'm not old. I'm 39, but I might as well be 150 in this industry. I swear, because there
social
are
media and stuff like that.
Social media. There's so many just ferocious, talented, incredible designers just coming back at me, just biting on my feet and just killing it, absolutely slaughtering the work. And then I have to go, instead of wringing my hands and like being sad, essentially, oh, why don't I do that? Well, why don't you do that? Well, it could be because you got 2 kids and a husband, and like, maybe they don't. Maybe they have more flexible time that they can take every single job.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe it's just not for you, Brooke. That's the other big thing of just like, maybe it's not for you. Yeah. And that's okay. And just, I'm a Christian. And one of the things when I start to get really down on myself is I will remember the scripture of, do everything as though you're doing it unto the Lord.
Wow.
So really, even if I don't like a client, because that happens, I go, just do it as though I'm just put all of my love on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just another way of saying, just do your absolute best.
In this industry, it's so easy not to be kind for some reason. It's so easy to be caught up on comparison, and also everything is just fast in this life.
Yeah.
Everything is fast. Yeah. So, and for people, when everything is fast, it gives them an excuse not to be nice.
I am no longer here for hustle culture.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I'm just done. I'm just done with the hustle hard and like, if Beyonce and me have the same number of hours in a day, and it's like, no, not me.
Like, I actually like to sleep.
Yeah,
I actually love sleeping. I don't want to.
I had posted, man, I got such a big like response. I posted this thing I got off Twitter, which was, no days off is not a flex.
No,
it's not. It's not. It's not. It's just, we need that quiet time. We need that refreshment, because if we are just working ourselves into the ground, We are no good for ourselves, for the people that we love, for the people that love us, for our clients, for our customers, for our creativity.
Yes.
We have to breathe. We need space. Even the land doesn't get worked that much, know?
Yes, you need to be outside and breathe some fresh air. Like,
just experience, go to a different part of LA, eat something, go, oh my gosh, my client would love this. I never would have thought about this pairing of these colors, but now I'm seeing it. Oh, they would love this restaurant.
Yeah,
and
I started doing this thing where, and I'm like, I'm just gonna take the day off and look at pretty things. That's it.
Imagine that. And so much of the culture was just like, oh, you're lazy. You don't care.
Like, how do you have that time? I was like, well, I'm prioritizing.
You got to make the time. Yeah. You're just making the time. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I could talk to you forever, Brooke. We could do this every day. Thank you so much for, of course, promoting the kindness. That's not what we see often in the industry. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom and all of the stories. I feel like I always say that every single person has a story to tell. And that's why I was so excited to know your story. And
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you, Kara. If you have a small event, hit me up because I don't do weddings. But...
Absolutely. I got you. We got it together.
Awesome.
You've been listening to The State of Events, where event professionals connect. For more episodes, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. To engage with us on social media, look for @TSO Community. That's @TSOE Community. You can also visit our Facebook page, The State of Events. Make sure you stay connected by joining our newsletter. And lastly, we would love to hear from you. If you have topic suggestions, if you want to be a guest on the show, send us an email to inquiries@thestateofevents.com. That's inquiries@thestateofevents.com.